all of the millions of people that listen to the Tom Joyner show every morning.
Yes.
Every morning. There are so many things, getting up out of bed, getting out the place, getting to school. Tom Joyner is on their mind and carries them forward. Maybe gives them a better attitude when they get to work or school or wherever they're going. So my question to you is, how do you make that show so crisp and ready every single morning? What gets you going to get the Tom Joyner show going every morning?
I'd like to take all the credit, but I have a lot of good people around me that make me look real good. I have a lot of people. And once I get there, everything is laid out. I'm up prepping at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm prepping right now. But I have a lot of people. I do black radio.
Yes.
Okay, so black radio is different than any other format. It's fed by love of black people, and they are a community that accepts you as part of their family.
And you're coming into their car, home, wherever they are, office.
Yeah. And so our formula has always been to entertain, inform, and empower. If I can make you laugh, I've got you listening. If I got you listening, I can get some good information out there, and maybe that information will help you empower yourself, your community, and your country.
And that's why you came up with Super Serve Black People or Black America?
Super serving.
What does that mean? What does that mean, Super Serve?
Well, one of my mentors was Johnny Johnson, Ebony and Jet magazine,
Yes.
and he taught me that. He said, now Tom Joyner, you a young smart N-word, but I'm an old smart N-word. You got to super serve. And you got to super serve your community. You got to serve your community as a media a DJ in media, just the same as he's done with Ebony and Jet magazine. Anything that you needed to know about was always in Ebony and Jet magazine.
Great mentor.
From politics to education to health, all those things that we do on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, I learned from John H. Johnson. And to super serve. Don't worry about crossover. Don't worry about anybody else, but one black person. Just one. If you can reach one.
Just one.
Just one. You've reached the whole community. And I
love it. And that's what gets people going.
And that's what I did all these many years.
And do you hear out and about people saying, I heard it on the Tom Joyner show? I hear it a lot.
Yes.
I heard it you need to get on the Tom Joyner show if you want to talk about something like that's important to you. But one thing I want to thank you for that really made an impact, and that is you're very serious about advertisers advertising on black radio. Advertisers investing in black radio. But really, I think you did it because black radio is America's radio.
Yes.
And for anyone that wants to say, oh, them, or those people over there, and I just want to ask you about, over the years that you really made a point about spending money on black radio, which is really profitable, because one thing we listen to radio, whether or not we're in the morning, as I said, late in the evening, but your morning show, so one of the first efforts was against Christie's auction house and its slave memorabilia. So we want you to tell us what that was all about. I'm inspired because, I'm carrying H.R. 40, Reparations Commission. So I need to go back to Christie's auction house about slave memorabilia. But in any event, I want to ask you about that, and I want to ask you about Compel USA with the listeners send in their sales receipts. I think that's really good. I don't want to say what you were doing, but I think you were really serious and you had a plan to deal with it.
Yeah, with Christie's was auctioning off slave memorabilia, and we said, y'all don't do Holocaust memorabilia. You shouldn't do slave memorabilia. And we started that protest. Then CompUSA, remember them?
Yes.
They're not in business anymore. CompUSA, someone leaked a memo. You remember memos? Someone leaked a memo that came from the CompUSA marketing department that said that they didn't want to advertise to black people. And it made the news. So I said, CompUSA, you are so stupid. You have a lot of black people, and I can prove it to you. I said, rather than do a boycott, just send me a receipt that you've gotten from CompUSA. And they just came in barrels. And we went to CompUSA, and we said, you got a lot of black customers. You should do better than to say you don't need to advertise with black media to go after black consumers. And it got really hot because, as anybody in media knows, you don't protest against an advertiser. Whether they're advertising or not, they're always potentially, somebody who can feed you.
But Tom,
and you
that's
just
always
don't do
been
that.
the threat. That's always been the threat, right?
Yeah, that's always been the threat. So that's when Tavis and I were on the air together, and it got really tense. And I remember they said if you don't stop this protest, because I think I was with CBS then or ABC, one of them, and they said, you got to stop this. You can't do this. I said, I'm going to do it. And so we went on the air, and I said, Tessie, am I on the air? Because we're not stopping. Hello? Testing. And, the rest is history.
You got to believe in what you believe in, and you got to stand for something, and you did. You did
Yeah.
to Southwest Airlines, too. I think they got a real turnaround when you spoke to them in a way that they understood.
That's the thing about the smart advertisers. Smart advertisers understand the power of the black consumer. The smart ones. There aren't but a few. And Southwest Airlines was one of them. They understood. And so they wanted to reach black people. But as we've always done with the TJMS, is we like partners. A partner is different than a sponsor. A sponsor is somebody that just wants to sell you their product. A partner is someone who believes in your vision and wants to super serve the African American community. And when the African American community is loyal to a product, we're loyal to death and beyond. It's generational. And if you show concern about our community,
Absolutely.
we will be with you till the end.
Absolutely.
And then there's the politicians and the Democratic Party in particular.
He's going off script. No.
Yeah. We've had our back and forth because
Well, you tell truth to power, and that's all right.
yeah, I mean, because when it got close to election time,
Absolutely.
that's when you wanted to advertise with black media. That's when you wanted your presidential candidates and your top candidates who have national elections on the Joyner Morning Show, and we couldn't get you on before. Now the smart politicians,
Yes.
the smart politicians are, always calling, can I get on? Can I get on? And we will stop what we're doing to put you on. Because that's what black radio has always done. We haven't been given the credit for our role in the civil rights movement. But back then when Dr. King and Ralph Abernathy and the rest of them wanted to get the word out that they were going to be protesting up Dexter Avenue, marching from Selma to Montgomery, there was no cable.
There was no cable.
There was no social media. There was the 6 and 10 o'clock news, but that was just for white people. The newspapers, they had newspapers for coloreds and newspapers for white people. You may not believe this, but that's the truth.
That's it, though.
Because I delivered the papers for the coloreds, the 2-star. The only place that you could get a message out to black people was radio and church. You didn't have mega churches back then. Dr. King's Dexter Avenue Baptist Church maybe had a congregation of 100 people.
Yeah.
But there were 100,000 people, hundreds of thousands of people protesting, coming from Selma to Montgomery or marching up Dexter Avenue to the Capitol steps. It was black radio.
Black radio was crucial all throughout
Yes.
the Deep South and beyond to tell the story and to bring people down to the South and get people excited.
We would stop playing the music, and we would hand the leaders the microphone, and they would tell us, we're going to march, why are we going to march, and what time. And
Black
then we go back
radio.
to the Temptations.
Give a hand for Black radio, everybody. Is it superb? Let me just pose these couple of questions more because you are just a walking encyclopedia. I guess they don't use that terminology anymore. So
Encyclopedia.
I'm not going to call you
I
Google.
know.
I'm not going to call you Mr. Google, but you know a whole lot, and it's a lot that we want to hear from you. Your love for HBCUs is without comparison.
Thank you.
You have provided for thousands of students, as I said, who are first-time college entrants. They would not have the opportunity if they didn't have a partner, a real partner in Tom Joyner. You took Tuskegee to heart and carried it on in the best way. Tell us about that love. Tell us about that fantastic, ever going. I even saw Oscar doing a jig up there on that ship. But that voyage, I think you created a voyage that no one else has ever created. In fact, I'm seeing a bunch of folk trying to start their own voyage, but in any event, you created it. You brought people together from all backgrounds, all racial backgrounds, ethnicities, and otherwise, coming on as a human family, supporting historically black colleges. Tell us about that.
The Tom Joyner Foundation serves students continuing their education at black colleges. If you've run out of money, that's where we step in. And we started this thing back in 1998 or something like that. And it was my way of giving back because I've always been taught to give back. I'm from Tuskegee. And that's what black colleges do. And so I said, okay, how can I help black colleges? And so remember back in the day where you had those 800 numbers, those 900 numbers, where you dial a number and you could charge to a charity and stuff, and then people started taking advantage of that, and they were charging stuff on their phones at work. Well, that was the start, and my son, Thomas Jr. Killer, we did the first one. We did the first school of 105 HBCUs was Howard, where he graduated from.
All right.
And in a month's time, we had raised like $50,000 or $60,000 on these 900 numbers. You know, like $5 at a time, $10 at a time, $15 at a time, and that's how we started it. And we've been doing that since 1998. We've raised and donated more than $65 million.
You need to shout on that. $65 million, Tom.
And we've done more than, 29,000 scholarships. But it's just, I wouldn't be here if not for Tuskegee. That's the truth. I'm just not saying something. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Tuskegee. And anybody who has ever attended an HBCU knows that when you go to an HBCU, you're expected to succeed. And if someone expects you to succeed, you got a good shot of succeeding. And that can-do attitude, which I inherited from being raised there. I just took it to the next level.
Your ancestors laid it out for you.
Yes.
You could not disappoint them.
Yeah.
And
because
that
like
is-
you said, my mom and dad met at Moton Field.
Wow.
Moton Field is the home of the Tuskegee Airmen. My mom was a stenographer, and she was the secretary to one of the white commanders, and my dad was a cadet in the 3rd class, and he washed out. He crashed the plane.
He was there, though. He was there. You give him credit
there.
for him.
It was tough.
He was there.
Tough. He was tough, and then he hooked up with my mama, and, and once he washed out, but you know, the whole purpose of the Tuskegee Airmen program was to prove that black people had enough intelligence to do everything that you could possibly think of when it comes to flying a plane. Not just a pilot, but navigators,
trainers, flight instructors.
yeah, everything. And that's how and that's how they hooked up. So you had this whole community of people who just had this attitude that there's nothing in the world they couldn't do. So it rubbed off, and
Here you are.
Yeah, here I
You're a
am.
fly jock. How about that?
Yeah.
That may be what brought about the fly jock.
I think it is.
I've got 2 more questions
Yes.
for you. We could sit here with you forever and ever and ever, and just so honored. My father-in-law was a Tuskegee Airman, so I just love listening to you. Love listening to you. But let me ask you this. What do they always say about us? We don't take care of ourselves. There are a lot of disparities in health as it relates to African Americans. And we're always saying, I just didn't get to the doctor. And you put forward a fantastic initiative about going or taking someone to the doctor. Tell us how you envisioned that and made such a massive impact. And, of course, you know how we fought for the Affordable Care Act and how it's being trying to be undermined, destroyed, but we're still fighting. But the point is that so many people didn't have insurance, but didn't even know to seek out a doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you know, when it comes to health disparities, black people suffer disproportionately. We got a call from the Department of Health, and they said, we want to reach black people. Mm-hmm. What you got? And I said, well, tell you what. Let's do health fairs all over the country in all 50 states, and we'll call it Take a Loved One to the Doctor, because really we were talking to women, because men are too stupid to go to the doctor, and it didn't have a good marketing
flavor to it.
Yeah,
didn't sound
marketing say women, take your dumb ass husband to the doctor.
Save a lot of lives.
Because he's too stupid to go and get himself checked out to see what that big bump is on his head. But yeah, we came up with that, and Take a Loved One to the Doctor is one of my most proud. I'm so proud of that, because we have actually saved lives.
I know you did. I know you did.
We've actually saved lives. We'd have these health fairs all over the country. People would come in, and a lot of people would go straight to the OR and get open heart surgery. I swear that's the truth. And we do that once a year, and it's just been the best. Take a loved one to the doctor.
We're gonna find a way to keep going, taking a loved one to the doctor.
What we've done won't stop, because I'm not getting up at 3:00 in the morning.
We'll just call you at 12 noon and say we have a big health fair. We need you here.
Yeah.
Tom Joyner, your fame and your spirit is not ending at the end of the year. It's going to go on. You said something about disc jockeys, fly jock, your business, media being civil rights, in the civil rights movement. You are absolutely right, because that voice was so needed to, one, move people, to get them out of their house, or either get them on the phone and say, I just heard this on Tom Joyner, I just heard it on the radio. Go down to the church. I can't go, but you go. And one of the things that your party with a purpose was all about, is getting black folk, African Americans, to do something that our ancestors, the progeny that we are to those who really came here first as slaves, they did not have a chance to vote. And here we are, even in the last century, we were still fighting to vote. And you saw the fact that we were not voting like we should. And you took that party with a purpose, and the NAACP and the Urban League, and Jeff Johnson is here, and you know he was wild on the case. He worked with you on this, and many others. What drove you, what motivated you to say, I have got to get in the middle of this voting?
Well, like I said before, we look at everything that black people need to do, and we try to super serve it. Black people need to vote. So we said, all right, how can we get black people to vote? The first idea didn't really work. I wanted to raffle off an Oldsmobile. I was going to put it on the back of a flatbed truck and drive it around to every McDonald's and register people to vote. And if you register to vote, you can win a car. Well, that's not really legal. But I said, Tabitha said, fly jack, you can't do that. You can't do that. I said, why not? She said, it's not legal. I said, well, what else can we do? So we came up with the Sky Show. And the Sky Show would be every Friday morning, and we'd go to all these cities with a big show. And the first thing we'd do after Patti LaBelle would open up the show is we'd get with the NAACP and we would register people to vote right then, right there in a packed house at 6 o'clock in the morning. And it just grew from there.
Mushrooms.
Next thing you know, we got a black president.
Ladies and gentlemen, next thing you know. Well, let me say this. What a privilege to have the iconic Tom Joyner recount the many stories of your life. And I hope you'll keep telling those stories, but I hope you'll keep living those stories. And I'm just going to give you a moment just to say whatever you want to say, to charge up this brilliant audience with this brilliant organization, one organization that you love, that understands the vitality of media, and if I might, the lawyer in me, that First Amendment that you are so much a protector of. I just want you to be able to say, we love you. We're going to applaud you louder and louder and louder. But before we do that, Tom Joyner, ladies and gentlemen, he just wants to give us that word. Tom?
Well, to all the people here who are involved in media, your work is very, very important. As you know, we need to get the word out to our people and people of color, multicultural, that you need to do better for yourselves, for your community, and for your country. You need to empower. And in order to empower, you need to inform. And that's what you do. You inform. And the results is we have a better, more conscious, more woke community, and a much better country because of it. And I'm just proud to be a part of media. And although I'm not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore, I will continue to the day out, to my last breath, to help students stay in school at historically black colleges and universities.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, the luminary Tom Joyner. We thank you, great American.